Islam family. My name is Malik Wali Albay, and I am bringing to you today, attempting to bring to you today a video of science and truth and health, and a video that will contain the story of the human family and how we came into being and how we are one family spread out all around the world, and we all essentially are practicing one culture, one science, and we are not different. Whether we go from America or to Africa or to Europe or to Asia. And what I am attempting to provide you today is certain artifacts, certain pictures depicting the same artifacts, same science, same art, same technology that has been shared and used to create cities, monuments, and technology all around the world. And we all share in the same universal truth, the same universal understanding that we are all here together, one family, to create our own journey and to be the best that we can be by helping each other and just by being true to ourselves. So with that being said, we're going to start off with this slideshow of the coat of arms, and start off by saying in the ancient times we were all one. We all lived in harmony and peace and truth, and that hasn't ever changed. Okay. And when it was time for a shift, then that's when the shift happened. When we were ready to transition from that stage, then the ancient land was submerged. Alright, and the mass migration took place from that ancient land to America, and then to Africa, and then to Asia, and then to Europe. Alright. In America, these are murals. The tribe that came to America, or was always in America. This is a picture of the Bonaparte tribe, and the tribes that are in America, or came to America after the land of moved, are known as the Washita or the Olmec, and we have occupied this land. That tribe in particular has occupied this land for many thousands of years. And we have a legacy, and they have a legacy of one and the same, building cities and structures out of stone, mud, brick, and clay for many thousands of years. And these are depictions of certain pyramids and temples. In South America, the Temple of Tican, Temple of Humaxo, if I'm saying that correctly. Temples in Veracruz. pyramids and temples all throughout the land of America that were up in construction and in operation prior to the pyramids in Egypt being built and the pyramids in Asia being built. Alright. They say America was the greatest empire at one time. It still is. This is the modern version of it, though. Ancient name of America, some will call it Atlantis, some will call it Amexem, some will call it Meru, some will call it the Al-Moroccan Empire of North and South America. Some people call it Mu or Amaruca. Alright. And in the northern portion of America, you have the Washington Nation, or the Washington Empire, who primarily occupied the northern region from Louisiana to Ohio, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, including Canada. And this is a slideshow depicting many artifacts and monuments and mounds that were built for governmental purposes, for spiritual purposes, for ritualistic purposes. And these mounds are many thousands of years old. And even in the Grand Canyon, there are some monumental artifacts of King Tut and Nefertiti that were found 100 years ago. Now, this is very important to understand that the ancient science here around the world has always been here. And that to know thyself is to know the history of the world. Alright? And to understand that there's always been occupation in America. And the occupation in America is very spiritual by nature. It functions based off of balance and peace and love and truth. It's based on understanding the 7 transformation stages of how we created ourselves through thought, through light, through sound, through vibration. Alright, how we created our own matter. We created ourselves and transformed ourselves into matter. Understanding the 7 laws of nature. Consciousness, everything is conscious of itself and as itself. Correspondence, cause and effect, polarity, rhythm, vibration, and oneness. Understanding these principles, understanding these truths, that the universe and the earth, the atmosphere, the plants, the humans, the animals are all connected. It's one universal fingerprint is expressed through all things, animals and the humans and plants equally. Thus the universe is ourselves. We are the universe. We are the universe expressing itself through physical form, human form, or animal form, or plant form. We are not separate from the universe. We are, in fact, the universe itself. And once that fundamental understanding is mastered, then one can understand how to perceive themselves and how to do business, how to deal or to interact with oneself. Alright? And what we see here is some of the brothers and sisters in Europe and how some of the treaties and agreements that was made, alright, between the Moors of Europe and the Moors of Africa, and how they were doing business with each other. And sometimes that business wasn't necessarily all the way moral or ethical. Sometimes some of our brothers and sisters didn't get treated all that well. And because they weren't really treated all that well, whether they be adults or children, that was the reason for some of the revolutions later. And these slides are depictions and articles from certain books that was written that says that the Moors and the Europeans were doing business at that time in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, and 1800s. But it wasn't always done nobly or respectfully or peacefully. And because of that, that gave rise to the British Revolution, that gave rise to the Spanish Revolution, that gave rise to the French Revolution, and that also gave rise to the American Revolution. Yes, it is true that some of the Moors had the Europeans paying them tribute, but that's not how the Moors in America do it. That was in Africa and that was in Europe. Alright. And because of that, then that's also was a reason for the revolutions as well. These next slides are depictions of a book entitled, alright, and in this book, alright, it speaks about the conditions and what was going on in America prior to the Constitution being written, prior to the American Revolution. Thus, it's important to understand that, some of the Europeans who were here prior, they were not always treated all that well. And thus, as the laws of nature is, goes around, comes around. So those who are not treated well, you reap what you sow, right? So those who are not treating Europeans well, and it's only a matter of time until they themselves were not treated well. And that was the result of the American Revolution. Now here is a letter from George Washington to the Sultan of Morocco saying that there is a peace and friendship agreement between the two, and they are working together to maintain this peace, and that they are a part of the empire. And here is a picture of Benjamin Banneker, who introduced our European brothers and sisters to the almanac and the science of nature and helped design Washington, D.C. And the agreement is expressed through the Masonic Lodge. And the Moors brought the Europeans into government through the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and through the Masonic Lodge system. And that's why the Europeans wear fezzes, because the fez is the Moorish capital nobility, and the United States has two seals, one with the Moorish side, the pyramid, and one with the European side, the phoenix. And the Moors helped bring the Europeans into government with the Guyana Shigawa, the Great Law, the Great Peace for the Iroquois Nation of the 5 tribes. And here is also another snippet of Benjamin Franklin admitting to the fact that the whole world is Moorish, and the only Europeans are, not the only, but the Europeans primarily consisted of the brothers and sisters in England and Ireland, or England, but in France and in Germany, primarily Moorish. Now, as time will go, the Europeans will start to collect themselves, brothers and sisters will start to collect themselves. And as you can see here, they started collecting themselves through the church, and they put together an acquired weapons for silent weapons for quiet war, which is a way to kind of get people to steer people to kind of be workers and be like in the working class, but not really be the best version of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to educate people to be intelligent, but trying to steer people to understand how to function within the business. Okay. And so, it's important to understand that the business is a business, but the business is based on the ancient way. And even though it might not be functioning the same way the ancient society and the Moorish Empire functioned in America or in Africa or in Asia, the foundation, the base foundation is still there. The agreement is still there. All right. And it's the responsibility of those who have always been here to maintain the Il, the Bay, the Day, the Al, and the Ali, to maintain this truth, to bring it to light, to stand up for it, and to make sure to share it with everyone who is interested in knowing this knowledge. Thus, everything will automatically and naturally balance itself. And everyone is aware of this, everyone is conscious of that, but everyone does not have that responsibility of the ancient ones to dispense this information, to share this information. Alright, so as an ancient one myself, it is my responsibility to share this information and try to get this information out to those who are interested in it, who are seeking. And I give the United Nations a lot of credit for taking on the responsibility, or for putting their foot forward and trying to realign this plane and balance this plane back out by putting on the rights of indigenous peoples that states that the indigenous ones have the right to do their own thing and not to be subjected to a way of life that they do not want to be subjected to. And there's an agreement with the Treaty of Peace and Friendship where everyone can do their own thing and peacefully. And with that being said, peace and love to all a good day.